My name is Matthew Keisoglu. I'm a VX guide here at ACMI. The magic lantern was a type of image projector device that used glass plates that would house pictures, photographs, and paintings that would then be shown by one or two or more lenses. So the inventor of the magic lantern isn't 100% known. There was a Dutch physicist called Christian Huygens who's theorized as the inventor of the lantern. The reason being is that Christian Huygens once drew images of a skeleton called Death, removing its head and putting it back on again. So this was around the sort of 1600s. This was meant to be showcased, this skeleton was meant to be showcased with, I quote, convex lenses and a lamp. With the magic lantern, the images that we can kind of show, or that they used to show, were quite serene, beautiful, educational. In 1664, a French gentleman named Pierre Petit wrote to Huygens, calling it the magic lantern, the lantern of fear. As Pierre Petit called the magic lantern the lantern of fear, this is where the phantasmagoria aspect that I'm going to be speaking about comes into play. So phantasmagoria was a form of horror theater that used the magic lantern, typically with rear projection to keep the lantern out of sight. These phantasmagoria shows would do is they would use the magic lantern to showcase images of demons, ghouls, skeletons, very spooky sort of things. The inventor of the magic lantern show, or the phantasmagoria show, was a gentleman known as Paul Philidor. Now, the very spooky sort of thing with Paul Philidor is that no one really knows his full name. I think that adds a little bit of a mystery to the whole magic lantern show. So with the phantasmagoria show, one thing to note is that these shows were a bit wild. They included fatigue, sensory shocks, stimulation of sorts, and then illicit substances. So Paul Philidor would put people in a room and show them images of ghosts and demons and goblins, all sorts of things flying around to them. So phantasmagoria shows were very popular in the 18th to the 19th century due to their rising natures of the Gothic and the Victorian Gothic. These phantasmagoria shows that I mentioned with Paul Philidor, these were then heightened by a gentleman called Etienne Gaspard Robert, or Robertson. Robertson was a physicist and a balloonist and an avid believer of the macabre and the supernatural. With Robertson's phantasmagoria shows, one thing to note is that he effectively enhanced the magic lantern. One thing he did was he put the lantern on a sort of carriage system, which allowed the lantern to effectively move closer and to move backwards. What that did was, it of course presented the images as if they were coming closer or sort of moving backwards from the audience. And as you can imagine, as I mentioned, with all sorts of sensory sort of stimulation, fatigue, audiences were extremely convinced as to what they saw. But with Robertson's shows, it was effectively enhanced. One thing to note is that Robertson came out with glass harmonicas, he had actors and monologues of life and death. Robertson, as I mentioned, very much believed in what he was doing, so much so that theorized that he would use the magic lantern to bring King Louis XVI back from the dead. As you can imagine, such a thing did not go well with the French authorities at the time. One also thing to mention is that he held a lot of his later shows in crumbling nun convents. So again, the atmosphere in these shows would have been something very spooky. I'll leave you with a quote from Robertson that holds to me. "I am only satisfied if my spectators, shivering and shuddering, raise their hands or cover their eyes out of fear of ghosts and devils dashing towards them." If you'd like to learn more about the Magic Lantern, visit our centerpiece exhibition, The Story of the Moving Image, at ACMI, Fed Square, or visit acme.net.au. Thanks for watching.